You're live now.
All right. Hello, everyone at home. Hello, everyone here. Good to see you all today. I wanted, after yesterday's fabulous Planet Unity Earth Day celebration, I thought Earth Day would be a great theme for our talk today. So if you joined us last week, this has nothing to do with that. Oh, yeah. I always forget to turn my mic on. Thank goodness for Dawn. So, just saying, if you're at home and you didn't hear me, thank you, sir. Earth Day, the theme today after our wonderful presentation. So, to get us in the mood, I thought I'd start with a poem by Mary Oliver. I don't know if you know this poet, Mary Oliver. She wrote a lot about nature, and she's just one of my very favorites. This is called Sleeping in the Forest. I thought the earth remembered me. She took me back so tenderly, arranging her dark skirts, her pockets full of lichens and seeds. I slept as never before, a stone on the riverbed, nothing between me and the white fire of the stars but my thoughts, and they floated light as moths among the branches of the perfect trees. All night I heard the small kingdoms breathing around me, the insects and the birds who do their work in the darkness. All night I rose and fell as if in water, grappling with a luminous doom. By morning I had vanished at least a dozen times into something better.
That's good.
It is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It started off with a little rhyme, and you thought this is going to be a rhyming poem.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
If you're good.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's just all about just giving into the earth and just that holy experience of
The whole thing is about the emotion it brings.
Yeah, all about just the emotion of being part of the earth, as Don's saying. So today our talk is about not being against the earth, but of it. And I'll tell you where this is rooted. Many of us were taught that to contrast being of the world with the spiritual realm, to think of earth as secondary or worse, right? Something you have to rise above. I used to be dropped off in the Baptist church by my parents who had no interest in going there, but they would drop me off because church is good for you. Every experience is kind of good for us, right? Makes us who we are. But I was exposed to some thinking that I thought was spectacularly bad. The idea that the earth is the realm of the devil and sin, and heaven, somewhere on high, is a pure realm that's beyond all of the filth, right? And that's common. That's all Crash City today. People are talking like that. I wish they were all having Planet Unity or the equivalent. But the thinking was, and it's biblical, that earth was the domain of Satan, who was God of the world, this world. Ephesians 2:2 says that. And the earth's a battlefield, a place for spiritual warfare, where evil lives. That's 1 Peter 5:8 says that. Yeah, Don has a thought. Here comes the mic. I love our lively bunch here.
I think we've been through several stages of spirituality, and that was the one you just mentioned is one of them, and it's not something to be derided. It's just we can acknowledge that people have to go through that stage to get where they're going.
Yeah, I love the way you're thinking there. That respect the difference. It's kind of a problematic thing when some of our decision makers in government come from this tradition and they stop there. For you, it was part of your journey. For some people, that's the final resting place for your philosophy. That's a little bit of a problem. We were taught that believers in Jesus and his saving power were not of this world, and our kingdom's in heaven. And here in Unity, we have a different conception of heaven maybe than that. They were taught, and I was taught, that heaven is not in us and not around us, but it's a final destination after spiritual warfare against sinfulness. So, and when the warfare is through and we lay down our sword, and if we're victorious, we get to go to heaven. But here in Unity, I kind of think it's like that commercial with the dishwashing liquid. You're soaking in it. It happens right here. So, and it's Earth. It's on Earth. That's where we keep our shit, right? It is heaven. So, but 1 John 5:19 says, "And we know that we are of God, and the whole world lieth in wickedness." That's textual. That's where they get it, and that you kind of come to this faith believing that the Bible is inerrant, and then there you are. Yeah, Jerry has a thought.
I kind of agree with Don. It's like we're all on a path, and that path may take several lifetimes for a person to finally come to the conclusion of knowledge. And it's not that they don't know it. We came here to play a game. We have this separation that we have received at birth, so that as we go through life, that may be like you're reading there, as far as a person is going to get in that lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nobody's lost.
Yeah.
All of us are going to go. I mean, it may take a while, but what is a while when it is infinite?
Yeah.
There's no while there.
Well,
there's only here and now.
I hear you, Jerry, but
okay,
also,
well, that's okay. You don't
but
have
also time's a wasting for this.
No.
Yeah.
You know, that's
There's
to
a
take
little
away.
slight disagreement.
Anyway, that's the way to take away from what all it is because all it is all that we see, and everywhere we're at, no matter where we go, there he is. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think they're in a perfect place, right where they need to be. And as long as I believe that,
there's a dichotomy. Yes.
Oh, well, I don't believe in a dichotomy. Either.
Well, when are you preaching?
Huh?
We'll hear from Jerry next week. Except not.
Okay.
No, I think what you're saying is very valuable. I'm just teasing a little.
No, it's okay. Just on this, the whole topic of the emotional stages, spiritual stages and evolution. M. Scott Peck wrote a book called "Further Along the Road Less Traveled," and he just addresses specifically that. It's like 5 stages of spiritual development, and gives a bunch of examples. Very interesting.
I think that's great food for thought and something to look into. And then here we have Susan with a thought.
I read a book recently, several years ago, called the Urantia book. And basically, that states that there's like 700,000 universes. And the universes are divided up into sections where there's one head guy over so many, universes. Mm-hmm. And our head guy is Jesus. And the way they say this planet started was with Adam and Eve, and everything was going cool, and Satan, the guy that was in charge of this universe at the time, started adding all the stuff, and so Jesus came when he finally got the promotion. He came, his last thing that he had to do to prove the promotion was come here and tell everybody, this is full of baloney, what this guy's been telling you, and this is like. Yeah. So now he runs this universe. It's kind of funny to think that there's 700,000 other guys out there running universes.
What's that title again?
Urantia book.
Urantia book. How do you spell that?
Urantia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something.
I was in a book study group, and it took us a year to get through.
Oh yeah, that sounds fascinating.
So, anyway, it was pretty cool, and it's another thought,
Sure. And those are all to the good, and it's Jerry, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that it's all one thing. It's all just one thing. There are no two things anywhere ever. That which a person is where they're at, and how they live it will be what they needed to learn from their perspective. Each and every one of us are a universe into ourselves. All of us are unique and infinite. And so it's like me, every one of you, and I'm so thankful for all of you, are just showing another version of me. They're letting me see more of who I am. And I'm just so glad to be here showing you a little more of who you are. And this is what infinity would be awful boring without contrast. It would be one of those things that we would just be all sitting around in heaven someplace. It's kind of like, I like to put it like this. If everything was light, wouldn't that I have to have darkness to know how bright I shine. And even in the darkness, that individual, like was said, the darkest person you can see on this planet, what a wonderful human being, and the contrast that they show. Because they show more of me every day.
I think Brenda has a thought here.
Well,
Got hold of
the rancher book is what Ruth Ann used to facilitate the Course of Miracles group here. Said that the ranching is a advanced way of above the Course of Miracles.
Hmm.
So it's a study group that people does, and it's a lot more advanced, more like a professor version of looking at religion.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fascinating. Very worthwhile. The jumping off point for this conversation, because we've gotten a little afield, there are a few different ways of thinking about our relationship to Earth. We've heard many of them here. But there is a very clear line of thinking that the Earth is a cesspool of sin and wickedness in the realm of the devil. And there's another line of thinking that says the Earth is something precious to be preserved. And there's a lot in between that we've heard some now about all the different realms, and that's all fantastic food for thought. And I hope we'll take some of those reading suggestions and go with it. But it is kind of startling to think about how different mindsets can be. And it shows what you're up against if, like us, yesterday I'm wearing my t-shirt here, Planet Unity, Earth Day celebration, planet versus plastic. Plastic free begins with me, it says. So if our church's education project to kind of talk about the value of the earth and the ways we can preserve it, that's something that it's our major fundraiser. And it's something that I think we all enjoyed if we came yesterday, even though it was cold. But when politicians seek to drill for oil in a wildlife reserve, like they're doing in Denmark now, it's been approved, I think, we can typically link those particular aspirations to maybe the limb of the tree that points toward Earth not being worth anything spiritual, but being worth its resources, pecuniary pieces. But what if the Earth is not the opposite of the sacred, but one of the primary ways we encounter the sacred? Not a distraction from meaning, but a source of meaning. I think a lot of us think of the Earth that way. If you think about like your favorite places, I'm just going to ask you guys to kind of weigh in. Where do you feel awe? Where do you feel the grandeur of creation? Don, you got a spot?
Oh, yes.
Tell
I
me
have a
your
couple.
spot. Oh, do tell.
Yeah, I'm from California, and they're just loaded with them out there. When I start driving to the redwoods,
Yeah.
Wendy can't trust me because I'm not going to go off the road.
Wendy, you got to drive.
She has to drive there because it's just too awe-inspiring.
When you drive through those trees. And
Yeah,
it's like,
and
what?
yeah, and the going along the Merced River that comes down out of Yosemite is just absolutely heaven on earth. It's got everything: waterfalls, pools, rapids, everything, and it's so attractive. And the road goes right by, right alongside of it. It's awe-inspiring.
I love that. I know I'm from Appalachia, and I just love going through those, kind of like here, where you just go through all the trees. You'll see like little spring coming down, and it's nothing like it. It's just so beautiful. But then there's the grandeur that you're talking about. That's beautiful too. Yeah, Wendy.
My place right now is just the backyard. In spring, it's always a mess because we're always working and getting it done. But the best time of it is to go out and work for an hour or two, and then we go sit down in the rocking chair and we spend a half hour oohing and awing what we've done and the animals all around.
Yeah.
So that's our little heaven. It's the
That's
backyard.
lovely.
Referring to the Earth Day yesterday, and I was watching a webinar the other night about sustainable agriculture, and in 1978, there was this farmer in Iowa that decided to quit plowing his fields he went out and bought him a no-till equipment so he didn't have to plow no more. And that summer turned out dry, and the other farmers in the area, their corn yield was 132 bushels per acre, and his was 192 bushels per acre because he went no-till. And when you go no-till, there's the earthworms and all the organic matter is still there, and you don't have to worry about the drought, and the moisture, and the plants can get the moisture from deep down where if you do conventional planting, 7 inches is poured down as they're going to get any moisture.
You are somebody who thinks about a lot of stuff. I think Tamara has a thought back there. Brenda's always got some reference that's. Yeah.
So this is about perspective.
Yes.
What one person. So it's interesting, this conversation in the spiritual sharing and the physical, what people hold valuable from each of our individual variant perspectives, and so all of these things I think I share also that they're moving, the large grand visions. When I was in elementary school, I had to go to summer school and I dreaded it. I did, this was terrible. And they took us every day out to Wilson's Battle Creek. Is that what it's called? The park around out on the edge of town.
Wilson's Creek Battle.
Wilson Creek Battlefield. And we each were to mark off a foot square of earth. That was our little study field for the summer school. And every day we go back there and document what was there, what had changed, what was living there, what was happening. And it just changed my life for the rest of my life. And I just now realized I always loved the teeny tiny little spring flowers. And that's probably why, because it took me into a microcosmic appreciation of Earth and everything that happens in one little tiny, section of it, the bugs and what grew and what died and what ate what, and it was just such a life-changing. So I highly recommend go out sometime, find a little spot in your yard and just go out and look at it every day.
Yeah. I love that we go from grandeur of a river coming off Yosemite to a square foot of earth and what's happening in it. Now, none of us said Walmart is our place for meaning, and nobody said traffic jams were the place but there's meaning there, and that's earth, and that's where part of it, and we're creation too, and but it's not the first thing that springs to mind, is that stuff, but I just love hearing everybody's reflections. You found meaning out there. Our bodies kind of know something important that theology maybe catches up to. In Unity teaching, the idea that the earth has spiritual value is not a stretch at all, it's a return, really. Charles Fillmore wrote in The Revealing Word that creation is the emanation of divine mind, which is not a metaphor, it's metaphysics, right? That the world isn't separate from God, it's an expression of divine ideals in form. And the body, too. We talked about those people in Walmart before, but our bodies, it's not a spiritual killing field of lust and sin. It's a beautiful Eden of sometimes lust, also sensation and experience, and that's all. I see it all as being kind of to the good. Yeah.
Just take a moment. What I look at it is that our bodies and the world around us that we see, I look at as the venue for the development of the spirit.
Yeah.
And if we lose track of that, I think we're off the mark.
Yeah.
It's the venue for the development of the spirit.
Yeah. There's also a school of thought, just like the world is worldly and bad, and Satan's realm, the body is dirty and full of ugly desires and I don't think we really feel that way here. I think we kind of appreciate things in maybe a different way. Has anyone read the 1949 Charles Fillmore work, The Atom Smashing Power of the Mind? That's an interesting piece. He goes into the body a bit as being responsive to thought and alive within the field of mind. So, and Myrtle, of course, we talk about her a lot, affirming that she's a child of God who doesn't inherit sickness, and she doesn't reject the body. She worked with it, she spoke to it, listened to it, blessed it, because the body is holy. In her letter, she describes the body as responsive to loving attention, not an enemy in our journey, but a partner in our journey. So Unity gives us the idea that God is present in everything, creation is inherently good, and the body is intelligent, responsive, and worthy of care. Jerry has thought.
Yeah, here recently, I mean, this is very recent in science, is that we now understand that the body is nothing but a perfect receiving and communicating device. It doesn't think. It has never had an original thought. It is a mechanism that each and every one of us can use to the better good of all our path is going to run into.
Yeah, that's an antenna.
So we have to, the good and bad thing, there's no such thing as good and bad. I mean, God is God. It doesn't matter. It's just different perspectives of different people, where they're at, and each and every one of them receive the same consciousness that I do. That consciousness that they're traveling down the road path that they're using is what gives me a reflection of what I choose and want to be, whether they're going whatever path they're on. And so it's and it's all been here recently that since we've really got into the quantum consciousness of understanding ourselves and who we are, that we can now make that jump from being physical into being spiritual, because technically that's where we're at.
I like that perspective. Of course, there is a different perspective that says we're all the product of different experiences and different.
I'm not saying we are.
Yeah, different ideas, and we all kind of have different thoughts and feelings we bring into play. Wendy has a thought. Oh, John's got a thought. I can't see very well with my reading glasses. Mindy's.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank you, John. Help me out. I'm sitting there.
So, for many years, I practiced Native American spirituality, and still do, just from a metaphysical point of view, also. But you learn through that it's not what I think creates the struggle against this earth of human beings, and why we do a lot of things that to harm, is because we feel that we're separate from it. We feel that there's humans and then there's the earth, and so we're struggling because there's a lot of stuff there that might harm us. Okay. Yeah. And from the Native American perspective, there is no separation between your body and everything that's here, everything that's earth. And you learn that when I'm hot and I'm outside and I'm hot, I just talk to Brother Wind and call a cooling wind. And if I'm cold, I call a warm wind, because I'm not separate from the wind. I'm not separate. The insects, if there's something happening with the insects, I've learned how to make friends with the mosquitoes and with the bees. They're my brothers. So it's a different way of looking. You're not separate, and everything in nature is your teacher. And when you begin to look at it from that perspective, it's your friend, it's your teacher, it will help you. An animal that comes different in a different way is teaching you, So then you're not separate. Why would you want to harm? You can only harm yourself by harming the things around you.
There are kind of two things here. That is a perspective in this room we could only get from Wendy, because Wendy has had her unique set of circumstances that have made her very special, given her insights that when she speaks up, I stand up a little taller and listen very closely, because I know I'm going to get great wisdom from unique experiences. But then there's that Whitman notion from Song of Myself. If you know the poem, it begins, I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, because every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. Jerry's thought that we're all kind of sharing the same, but those are two different ideas to hold in hand, both extremely valuable, and it is a path that we get to better understanding. I want to share a part of my path. I wrote this poem about the body, and it's a weird poem. I'm going to tell you up front. After having some slipped discs, I had pain like I just never knew. I don't know if you've ever had back pain, but it's an experience. And childbirth was very painful, but you
Not
have that
even
baby,
close.
and that shit goes away. You have a slipped disc, and you might be suffering for years, and it's excruciating pain sometimes. So this poem is about kind of seeing the body as something very valuable. And you'll see a part, I mention all this because I know it goes by fast and it's kind of dense, but you'll see where I'm kind of comparing at the end the body to a cathedral with all the architectural elements of a cathedral. So in this poem, pain is so intense, it divides me in two, so I end up kind of like helping myself from room to room. If you can imagine, like, it's pain is so intense that I end up kind of babying myself. See, I told you it was a weird poem. In praise of the body broken in two, I woke this way, bent at the waist, vibrating, a silver chime struck with a hammer. For 3 days I cradled my body in my arms, carried it swaddled from room to room, pain tolling like a temple bell. How could I not love any warm thing breathing against my chest? How not love what's helpless, a wounded animal you feed with a spoon? Usually the body prefers to drag itself from room to room and declines my offer of help. Pain, in the end, is personal. Sometimes, though, I'll lean against my shoulder and side by side I'll make my way from bed to toilet to couch. It's no longer in me to wish to leave the body, be spirit soaring above self. The body is not a wrapper to be discarded. Count me among those locked out and gazing up at the architecture of skin and bones, the arches and rose windows, buttresses, crockets, cusps. This place is so holy, you'd have to leave your shoes to step inside. So,
Very
right.
nice.
Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just that. I think that was my reaction to the idea that this body is something to overcome and not this amazing antenna where we receive all the things. It's like this organic thing that I'm temporarily in is so precious to me. And boy, I'm not going to sit there and complain about my crow's feet. I'm just happy I can walk from room to room. So. We often talk about the earth as something out there, right? But there's a deeper truth. We don't live on the earth, we are earth in a different form. The essayist Lewis Thomas wrote in The Lives of a Cell that we are shared, rented, and occupied by the elements of the earth. Science confirms it. The oxygen we breathe comes from plants and ocean life. The elements in our bodies were formed in the stars. The water we carry cycles through the earth continuously. It's Cleopatra's tears and fish pee. And it's like the water just kind of like made of all things. So the boundary between the body and earth is not at all fixed. It's porous and it's continuous. So if you take just a moment and you breathe, you notice your breath. I hope you're breathing. Feel your body in the chair. Feel your feet on the ground. I love those meditations where you imagine kind of roots coming from your feet into the ground and holding you to it. You just know intuitively that your body is not a separate thing. You belong to the earth. Weirdly, in the book of Genesis, we hear about dominion. We have dominion over this earth. But in Genesis 2:15, humans are placed in the garden to till and keep it. I wish Dan were here with his gardening, his feel for gardening, that we're here to till and keep the earth, to serve and to guard. Other traditions, Islam talks about trusteeship of the earth. Taoism teaches harmony with nature. Shintoism sees the natural world as alive with spirits. The question is not whether we have a kind of power here, which we wield all the time in ways that are beautiful and harmful. We do have power, but what kind of relationship does that power create? Which kind of brings us to the earth versus plastic idea. Plastic is a remarkable thing, and it's very nearly a permanent thing. Plastic has a very long life cycle. And it resists the cycles that sustain life. So the earth knows how to receive what belongs to it, but plastic is what happens when we give it something that doesn't know how to go home in the same way as other parts of the earth. Microplastics found in soil, air, oceans, and human bodies. Sylvia Earle, in her book, The World is Blue, How Our Fate and the Ocean Are One, says the oceans are the blue heart of the planet, and actions taken in the next decade will define the next 10,000 years on the earth. Here's a quote from her. No water, no life, no blue, no green. By green, she's talking about, so the blue is the blue heart of earth, no blue, no green. Green, she means where we live, where we keep our stuff, right? Land. But there's also the idea of green. No blue, no green. We have a lot to lose, even financially, by destroying the earth. And she means there's no away. The whole planet is kind of a small town that we all have to put up with each other in. So plastic's not something we throw away. It's something we invented without really considering where it might go. And aren't we lucky to have it, by the way, plastic? I don't know if you've been to the hospital recently, but it's hanging from a thing up there that goes into your arm and keeps you alive, right? That's plastic is very helpful in that regard. It's in pacemakers and blood bags. It can triple the shelf life of your food. It's lighter than glass or metal, so it can actually save resources when you ship in plastic instead of other containers. Plastic insulation reduces the need for energy for heating and cooling. Plastic pipes, PVC pipes, resist corrosion.
Glasses.
Yeah, my glasses, thank you. My computer. All around us, there's plastic, your plastic tables. So we'd be kind of dumb to sit here and act like plastic is the devil. But plastic is sure as heck problematic. There's no reason we should have plastic microbeads in our body washes, right? So we wash ourselves, we love the feel of those microbeads sloughing off our skin, and then that goes into the water and it kills. 8.3 billion tons of plastic have been created since the 1950s. Only 9% of that has been recycled ever. And over half of our plastic is used just one time before we throw it away. Every minute, a whole garbage truck's worth of plastic is dumped into the ocean. That's 11 million tons a year. And plastic leachate enters our bodies through food containers and through inhaled fibers and skin absorption and gases that come from it. Dawn has a thought here.
I recently saw a 10-year-old TV program in which there was a technology developed whereby the floating plastic that really was threatening the oceans was being gathered. Hundreds of tons of it was being scooped and taken out of the ocean, and it was very encouraging to notice that people do take this seriously and have been for the last decade, and I think we're making progress. Their report was that we are making progress in this. Otherwise, the ocean would have been in bad shape. But we're getting a handle on it.
I got some bad news for you, Don. We're not getting that big of a handle on it, but the amount of waste going in is far more than what's taken out, and we need to see much more of that. That is extremely promising.
I was receiving one perspective.
Yeah, and I'm just one perspective, but even like our microplastics going into the water that's not reclaimable. Yeah.
So the guy that is heading the ocean cleanup is Boyan Slat, who is from Amsterdam, I believe. And he is absolutely phenomenal in the team that he's put together. But he knows that unless we stop what's going on land and in the rivers, we won't get the ocean cleaned up because it's continuous. And so they have targeted the 100 most polluting rivers in the world, and they have interceptors that they're putting in place as they get funding to do it. So they're trapping, what's coming in the rivers, but we still need people to understand, what actually is going on. But he's absolutely amazing. The things that he's put together, he's so cool.
Inspiring. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And he started with swimming in the Mediterranean and realizing there was more plastic than fish. He was still in high school at that time, and he gave up what he thought he wanted to do with his life because he said, everybody kept saying, well, that's for the next generation to fix. And he goes, I am the next generation. And so I've been following the Ocean Cleanup Project for years, and it's encouraging because they're finding things to recycle and to use, but there's still, it's finding the way to reach people to make them realize that they can't just throw it in the river or on the land, and that we need to find solutions.
Yeah.
So it's encouraging in one way, but in another way, it's like makes you realize how much we still need to go.
Yeah.
But
if everybody kind of had that energy of fixing instead of anytime you're using a Neutrogena deep clean facial scrub and what's scrubbing you is microplastics, those river interceptors can't get that millimeter, right? They can't do that, but fish can eat it. And then we eat the fish, and then we got the microplastics in us. I remember that statistic I gave you, a garbage truck a day or a minute of plastic. This guy sounds great, but he doesn't sound garbage truck a minute great. Doesn't sound like that's something you can possibly,
If we had, like, Earth Day's great, it raises consciousness, and a lot of this stuff was 10 years ago, but today I'm like, are you kidding me? We're not recycling glass? Like, it's,
One
I
of the
thought
most
we had come a
recyclable
ways,
things.
like, what has happened? But anyway, if we had, I just had a comically thing, but for real, if for a week, I had Earth Week, and everybody was like confined to their house and their yard for a week, and you had to keep all of everything that you throw away, and everything that you flush down the toilet and everything, if you had to like just not have any of it taken away and done anything with it, all of it, people might realize that this little planet's floating out in the middle of nowhere that we're all magically sticking to is a little more confined and respond. We're a little more integral to its to the mutual life force that sustains, the circle of life thing.
That's a great thought. And you talked about like a week, we could do this for a week, and Earth Day is nice. And people do things like Meatless Monday where they're not going to be a vegetarian or a vegan, they like their meat, but boy, you go a week without having meat and you've had less of an impact on the earth, and it's just that's small step you can take.
That's a good
Who's
point.
that? Susan? Yeah.
So I have a question, but I don't know why I didn't get it answered this weekend. I guess I must not have asked it.
I probably don't know the answer, but ask it. If you don't know, I probably don't.
Well, I have a couple of neighbors that refuse to recycle because they say it all goes in the dump anyway. It's all a bunch of baloney.
Some of it does go in the dump.
The stuff we recycled, because
Well,
I recycled.
You should continue, but like China used to buy our plastics, and they've quit buying our plastics from us, and so a lot of those plastics have to go to the dump. There's not enough of a market for that. You keep recycling it, they'll sort it out and they'll do what they can with what they can and get rid of what they can't. But you recycle a number 5 plastic, you think you put it in your bin and it's going to be taken out of there, that's probably not going to be recycled because it can't be recycled. So, but I still think it's better to put it in there, but you're not wrong. A lot of that, but your neighbors are wrong because some of that stuff is recycled perfectly fine. Yeah, so who else?
Well, it's really an individual thing. You individually have to become the solution, and that means bending over, picking up that piece of plastic that you see, no matter where it's at, because just that one piece of plastic done 8.5 billion times, well, sooner than you know, will be at the same time. We're not going to stick it on a rocket ship and send it away. So what are we going to do with it? We have to figure out what we're going to do with all of this that we think we need to get rid of. Remember, there's nothing but God anywhere. God is the plastic also. God is whatever is out there. And so if we don't personally, each one of us, make the conscious decision, as we've done here at Unity, to step out and do something about the problem, then we ourselves are actually just becoming a noise in the world. We're not. It's always the doing. It's never the saying of something. It's just doing.
Here's LB.
So we have a lady that passes through this church once in a while that is a whistleblower. So she inherited a pretty good fortune, and she is using it to make people accountable. And so she goes into an area and investigates where recycling goes. And she says there are very, very few areas in the United States that recycling actually goes into recycling all of it.
I doubt any place all of it goes in.
Well, but when some of these trash companies, you put everything in a bin together. Well, if there's anything in it that is contaminated, if you put a pizza box in there and it's got stuff in it, that whole bin goes to the landfill because they don't sort it's contaminated. And if it's contaminated, it goes to the landfill. But they can charge more for picking up your recycling, and so they're making money, and they don't care really where it goes because they're a corporation, and corporations don't have much heart.
Well, the fact is, if there's profit to be had, it doesn't go to the landfill. If they can
Right.
profitably recycle.
If they can do that. But she says that most of it does not get recycled.
Lots of it.
You're much better in Springfield to take it to one of the 2 recycling centers than you are to have somebody pick it up. It's much more likely because when you go there, you have to put your glass in the glass and your plastic in the plastic and your paper in the paper and the cardboard in the cardboard. And so you divide it up and they kind of keep track of it. Yeah. But she said that a good majority of it really does not get recycled.
A lot of it does not. Now, I will have to reject the idea that you shouldn't do it or that none of it gets recycled because I've looked into this. I cover city government and I look at what happens to this stuff and a lot of it does get recycled. It's worth the attempt, I think. But Jerry.
Well, for me, that's where the problem lies. We all sit around looking at somebody else as if they're responsible. No. If they don't want to move their trash into the recycling, then I myself should take the responsibility to do so. Yeah. And if they never change, that's their business. Everybody has a valid right to believe whatever they choose to believe. And I have the ability in myself, knowing how I see something and what I would prefer to do about it, to go and do something about it without making anybody feel like it's their responsibility. Because it's not. It's my responsibility to remove the trash in my life that I feel that I need to move. It's not somebody else's.
There are a few ideas somebody might push back against. Everybody does have a right to believe what they believe. Yep. Some people are wrong. Also, everybody does absolutely share responsibility for our shared turf here. Yeah.
And I have an observation, which is not to say that we shouldn't try to do the best we can to get as much taken care of. But we're carbon-based life, as is all of life as we know it on this earth. And so is plastic. Plastic is carbon-based material. And I'm really kind of fascinated by the idea of how life will adapt to this prevalence of plastic in the environment. Just a
It is interesting, and of course, it's it'll adapt possibly in ways that can't sustain our carbon-based life forms.
There's this chemical company up in the Kansas City area, TNI Chemical,
Mhm.
that their chemical plant is almost a mile off the main highway. And they was having to resurface the road, that 1 mile road, into their property every 2 years
Hmm.
because of the heavy truck that goes in there,
Yeah.
grossing over 100,000 pounds.
Mhm.
So they, the company come to them and wanted to know if they could do an experimental blacktop. So this experimental blacktop, they use plastic bottles. They use the filler, plastic bottles for the filler for this blacktop mixture. And the road lasted over 10 years
Yeah.
by
Plastic
using the plastic instead of the conventional petroleum-based chemicals.
Well, that's petroleum based, but yeah. Interesting because we got rid of the plastic bottles, yay! But then you had leachate from the plastic when it rains. Running off the road. Leachate from hitting when the rain hits the road and you've got plastic leachate chemicals going in. So it's a mixed bag. We should probably make good decisions about what we use. I need to finish because we're almost out of time. Some practical steps we could take if you're interested, if you buy into this stuff, if you think that it matters. Some practical steps you can take: switch to glass containers for storing your food. Never heat your food in plastic. Ditch your nonstick cookware that's coated in plastic. Stop drinking bottled water in favor of filtered tap water. That filter is made of plastic, probably. Avoid canned foods containing plastic linings. Eat more whole foods, fewer processed foods. Choose natural fibers for your clothes. For these microfibers in our body, you can eat high fiber foods to expel plastics from your body. You can take antioxidants in. You can exercise and sweat to get rid of plastics through your lymphatic system. Because awareness creates relationship, and relationship creates care. And we're wonders of creation, reflections of the divine, and we need to act like we are. If divine life expresses as earth and earth expresses as body, then caring for the earth and caring for ourselves are not separate acts. They're the same awareness moving at different scales. Being of this world is being connected, a holy mindset. The opposite is to be disconnected, right? So what we're invited to is connection with each other, with the earth, with our own bodies. We're not souls passing through the earth. We are the earth, briefly aware of itself through us. So happy upcoming Earth Day, everyone. I got some announcements for you now. Thank you, dear. Where are the announcements? Oh, there they are. Coming out. Oh, thank you. Here comes Brenda with our announcements. Thank you, Jerry, for staffing our microphone, and thank you all for being here. Okay, everyone's invited this evening to meditation at 6 o'clock. I love it. Some of us in this room go, and we love it. We have a prosperity and growth team that meets once a month. Everybody's invited. The next meeting's tomorrow, April 20th at 6 o'clock. Third Monday of the month, usually. April 21st at 6, final meeting of the Real Estate Forum. So this is about closings during the real estate process. So everyone's welcome to attend that. Our crisis cold weather shelter season ended March 31st. Our shelter was open 52 nights, and we had at least 25 guests a night. And volunteers made it happen, donating money and food and time. So this Thursday, April 23rd, is the end of season dinner and debrief. So RSVP at the connection table. Call if you're at home if you'd like to come.
When is that?
That is Thursday the 23rd. I'm not seeing a time. So, TBA. So let us know if you have questions at home. Everyone's invited to the next Unity movie night this Thursday. We never resolved that. Somebody brought that up
They
last
said
week.
it wasn't gonna matter,
Huh.
because I asked when they made the announcements, and they said, that's the way it is.
What's
Okay.
the way it is?
That the shelter,
Is at 6 and the movie's at 7? Is what Lisa said.
Okay, shelter
Oh,
thing
okay.
at 6, movie at 7. There we go. So I think that's a good opportunity for more of us to attend movie night. 7 o'clock, it's Life of Pi, with the discussion afterwards. There will be no pie. Different kind of pie.
I can't, John was telling me about it, I can't remember what it's.
There's a kid on a raft with a tiger.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's a book that had some.
He said the book was better than the movie, but.
That is so often the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes the movie removes some of the garbage in a book. I don't know if you've seen the Harry Potter movies. Those books are ridiculous. She needed an editor so badly. But the movie kind of cut all that stuff. But Life of Pi, have to read the book and see the movie. Next Sunday, Marlene Bricker is back. She's fantastic. Also next Sunday at 9:15, New Thought class. This right here, Jerry Stefaniak. Don't know his topic, but that's who's doing it. He's always wonderful. If you'd like to be a member of Unity, the next member ceremony is May 3rd. Applications are on the connection table. First Sunday of the month is Friendship Sunday. May 3rd, invite a friend, stay for the potluck. Sign up at the connection table, and there's no 9:15 adult class on May 3rd. Last thing, our community cupboard that supports a lot of hungry people. No barrier resource. Somebody doesn't have to show us their tax return to get a can of soup, right? So we follow a one item every person every Sunday campaign. It's time to bring that spirit back. We've got a lot of people to feed with prices going up. So every Sunday, if you could bring an item for our cupboard or our freezer, that's a good way to feed a lot of folks. So you're asking for that, and that's it. Thank you for coming, those of you at home, and thank you for coming, those of you in person.
Thank you for facilitating.
Earth Day, man.